The Flames are finally back home on the mountain, and it's homecoming. We'll take you to the pitch a little bit later in the show because we have Bridie Herman, Lady Flame soccer star, coming on the
you're
show.
Gonna love the interview.
You'll love that interview. It's the Flames Central podcast, powered or not so much powered by the Alcova
Powered
Mortgage.
by Alcova Mortgage, not by Joe Yock. Where is Joe? Well,
We don't know.
We have no idea.
That was a good rhyme.
Good.
Where is Joe? We don't know. Maybe he'll show up through that door. No.
I wasn't sure if you were trying to rhyme there. The longer you went, I thought it was less likely.
I have some beef with Joe Yock right now. But we'll set that aside and get to the podcast because, sometimes he's not even prepared for these things anyways.
You know what they say? The best availability, or no, I just botched that. The best ability is availability.
And he's
and
not
Joe
available.
Doesn't have that. Yeah, so not available.
I threatened him that I wasn't going to say powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Let's not blame the good folks that are at
You know?
Alcova Mortgage for this.
I know.
I'm sure maybe they probably had these issues with Joe themselves.
All right, the Flames took down UMass 42-24. That does seem like a high score for UMass, but Coach Aldridge reminding us that there were a lot of third, fourth string guys in that ball game late. But let's talk about the game. Overall thoughts that come from that victory, Matt.
Well, overall, number one, we asked last week, what's going on with Demario Douglas? Like, should we be concerned about Demario Douglas? And, no, we shouldn't be concerned. 4 catches, 134 yards and a touchdown. He was good in the return game as well. That was just kind of like a reminder that, I'm still the most explosive guy on this field. Don't forget about me. And they found a way to target him and get him involved in the passing game. So that was good news. That was big for me, number one. On the other side, still some concern at the quarterback position. The slow start for Jonathan Bennett. Then they pulled him for a little bit. Then they brought him back in. He was better when they brought him in. But you got to find a way to start better. You can get away with it against UMass. You can probably get away with it against Gardner-Webb this week. You're not going to be able to get away with that moving forward in that schedule. Now, JB may not be the guy moving forward. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But finding a way to start faster, it's been a problem, not just with Jonathan Bennett. Go back, we've talked about it for a while. Even to last season with Malik, the first quarter has been an issue offensively for the Flames. They've struggled there. They've got to find a way to improve.
453 total offensive yards. Like you said, 87. Just 87 in the first quarter. Coach Freeze was asked about what is the reason behind the slow start. He's like, I don't know if you heard me for the last 10 minutes. I can't figure it out. Is that concerning at all? I mean, he's such a great offensive mind and head coach Hugh Freeze, but where is the level of concern about the slow starts?
I mean, it's going to be at a high level here shortly with the schedule turning into what it becomes down the back stretch. Yeah, it is. And part of the problem, I thought, and I saw a lot of people actually online suggesting this as well during the game, is they came out trying to throw the ball. I think they dropped back to pass on 6 of the first 7 plays for Liberty. And while that probably made sense based off UMass and their defensive front and what they show you, I also still think that's not what this team needs to be built on. And so I think that put them in a little bit of a bind early on when they came out trying to throw the ball around. JB was a little shaky early on, and then suddenly you're like, what's going on here? Now we've put ourselves in some second and long, third and long situations. Another thing Freeze talked about is they wanted to get into up-tempo and play faster, but unless you have success on first down, unless you pick up a first down, you really can't do that.
I know.
And they couldn't get into a rhythm. You started to see them do that more as the game progressed. You started to see them run the ball better as the game progressed as well, which takes some of the pressure off JB. You can't lean on him to throw the ball around the yard the way you could. Even Malik. And Malik's run game was a big part of what he did. But you can't lean on him that way. He's better when the run game is finding success. And they got kind of that going a little bit later in that ball game.
Yeah, 4 rushing touchdowns on there, and 3 of those come from Shadro Lewis. That was a career high for his rushing touchdowns. Another highlight from the run game is TJ Green getting back out there. That was great. How much of an added bonus is it for this backfield to have TJ Green out there too?
Well, just depth in general, I think is huge. But the best part was you saw he's got a little juice, right?
Yeah, he got a little.
He was shifty. And we remember last year he averaged about 6 yards a carry, I think it was for the season, led all Flames. And so he's a guy with big time speed. He showed you that elusiveness. Coach said he was absolutely spent after those few carries. He's like, we got to get his just fitness level back to where it should be. But yeah, depth is huge across the board. I mean, we see it at the quarterback position with guys getting hurt, receiver position, guys getting hurt. So that depth is huge. And just seeing him on the field, and for any player, just getting back out there and kind of proving to yourself, like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I still have it. Like after sitting out as much as he has all this season, I think that's just big for his confidence as well.
I mean, I think that's anything you do in life, whether
Right.
you're an athlete or not. If you take some time away from your craft, it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so frustrating, that people have these expectations on injured players that they're going to be exactly who they were when they left.
Well, and that's why we should caution people on the Charlie Brewer,
right.
hype train. Like everyone's like, oh, and Coach Freeze said that he wants to play. He's chomping at the bit. Well, we're not sure he can hold a football quite right yet. That's going to be the key. He's maybe cleared to play, but his hand may not be back in that kind of shape. That's a lot. Don't throw too much on these guys. Coming back from an injury, especially one like Charlie suffered, it's like it's not just going to be okay, everything's good again. Like it's going to take some time. We didn't know what he was. We still don't know what he was. We never got to see it at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, 2 series.
Yeah, so I would say let's just pump the brakes a little bit, give them some time to kind of get back in there and get in the flow. However, if he's cleared this week and he can hold a football, is
Watch
this
out.
a good time? Like maybe not to start him, but to at least get him out there for a couple of series. I think it would be very difficult to just throw him into the fire against BYU and say, you haven't played since 2 series week 1, go get him.
Right.
Like it would be really nice if he's able, I think, to get him a few series here this week.
Also, an update on Reese Yock. I don't have that.
Joe's son, I actually saw Joe's son recently doing a little like rehab and stuff. His injury was a lot more extensive than Charlie Brewer's.
But back to the Charlie Brewer thing, Coach Freeze saying in his press conference this afternoon, which you can check that out on Liberty's YouTube page, he has a doctor's appointment on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And like you're saying about yes, he might be cleared to play and everything is fine with the actual structure in his hand or his thumb actually. But if you've been in a cast for that long, your movement
stiff,
on your arm
muscle strength isn't there.
And I mean, think about when you're not in the gym for a couple weeks as an athlete and you go back and that strength just isn't there. He hasn't been able to do anything with that hand for, what has it been, 4 to 6 weeks? So it'll be interesting to see, but he is itching to get out. He wanted to play at
UMass. Yeah, he's like, I'll throw it with my left hand. Yeah, just let me in.
Right, but it will be interesting. But you're thinking if you play him,
big if. This is all speculation.
If he were to be available during Gardner-Webb's game, would you play him, or do you get him in against BYU, because that level of opponent, it's just I
think it would just be awfully tough to throw him into the BYU game and just say, here you go, welcome
without
back,
getting some reps,
without some reps in live game action. So yeah, if he's well enough, I would get him in there for a few series at least, just to let him kind of get his feet back underneath him, because he didn't even really get to start the season. It's not like he played a half. He didn't even play a whole quarter going back to Southern Miss. So he needs to kind of get in there and kind of acclimate himself a little bit.
And I don't know how we didn't discuss this before the podcast started, but what is the update on Salter?
Well, he didn't travel, and we didn't get one today from Coach Freeze.
I don't know how we missed that. I think everyone's just so excited about the Charlie Brewer thing, and I know we don't know a lot about Charlie in this offense, but at the same time, I guess this, you got to look at the bright side here. We're talking about JB as a second string, and then Nate Hampton, what they have been able to do to be 5-1 in one game away from being bowl eligible with the adversity.
Unbelievable. And Coach Freeze keeps saying, this team has grit. And you hear coaches say that all the time. Yeah, they do. How are you going to argue that? How have you pieced this thing together? I mean, not only that, you've had Caleb Snead, a starting wide receiver, miss a significant amount of time. CJ Daniels has only played in a couple of games and hasn't done a whole lot this year coming back from an injury. You had TJ Green, who was slotted to be one of your stars at running back. He's been out up until this UMass game. You've dealt with a lot of injuries across the board.
Yeah.
Not even talking about the quarterback, which is the most important one. And you're 5-1, knocking on the door of bowl eligibility. Great coaching job by Freeze. I would say, and maybe he wouldn't admit this, maybe we can ask him later in the week, I would say in some ways this has been one of the more frustrating seasons he's had as a head coach. And yet, to this point, probably some of the most rewarding moments have come from this because of how frustrating it's been to figure it out.
But what I love about Coach Freeze is he's not afraid to like admit that. Like, I am frustrated. I am like, it is difficult to manage my emotions on the sideline.
Hide it. Yeah.
And another thing he did in the press conference today was admit about his 2 bad play calls this last week. So I just love that ownership. When you take accountability in front of your team and you admit your mistakes, I think that it really can help the team grow, with admitting their mistakes and cleaning up some of their work too. Let's talk about the defense because, I mean, tackles for loss, the sacks, the third down stops, what this defense was able to do in this game. Coach Aldridge said this is closest to a complete game that the defense has played. He didn't complete that like this season ever under him, but what can you say about the defense and how they played this week?
They're just steady. And when you talk about the grit of this team, the toughness of this team, I mean, that's where it starts. Like, just week in, week out, you feel like you know what you're going to get out of them. Yeah, there were a couple of big plays that happened, and same as ODU, there were a few things that didn't go their way. But, like, you just know guys like Mike Smith, Ahmad Walker, Rocket Rahimi, Javon Scruggs. Like, you just know what you're getting out of those guys. And they've been solid the entire year. There's been no let up. There's been no big drop-off, whether you're going and playing on the road at Wake Forest, one of the better offenses they'll see all season, or whether it's going up against UMass. Like, they are just consistent, everyday kind of dudes, and that just speaks to the leadership of the coaching staff. But I think even more so, or as much as the leadership in that locker room.
It's really starting to emerge. I was just going to say that. Like, Darrell Johnson, like, seeing him grow into a leader, you can just tell that it's coming from the top, but these players are really learning how to lead.
It's a business-like approach on that side. And that hopefully bodes well for the future of the season. Like, one of the questions I had for Coach Freeze today was, you remember he said, I believe it was on our podcast last year after the season, and he was like, once we got bowl eligible, I felt like we let up.
Yeah.
And you remember those losses to Louisiana and to Army, and they just stumbled down the stretch.
You can't do that with
yeah, right. I was like, how do you avoid that? Well, and he said, well, I think hopefully we're more mature. And I think on that side of the ball, at least, they certainly are. They understand what's in front of them. They take it week to week. They're not looking too far down the line. And you're just seeing some of those guys that were good in the past, but kind of young and immature. They have a different attitude.
They're growing up, yeah. All right, we'll go to the pitch in just a moment for an awesome interview with Brady Herman. But first, let's look at, wait, you wanted to say something about UMass.
Okay, well, yes, thank you for that.
Keep it clean.
Okay, no.
Be nice.
I'm not a big omen guy. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, bad omen, how like, because this happened, it's probably going to lead to a bad day. But in football, you kind of get that every once in a while. Like, what would be a bad omen? Like the opening kickoff, kicking it out of bounds. That would be a bad omen to the day, right? UMass had that to start this game. The kickoff didn't go out of bounds. It was a touchback. They take the field, their offense, false start. Okay, tough way to start. Back them up. Delay of game. In a delay of game. You have a false start and then a delay of game. There hasn't been a second that's come off the clock yet. Like, I don't know how you get a delay of game after a false start. Like, that should never happen. But, like, if you didn't believe in bad omens, like, you might after having seen that. Like, that was just, you could not start any worse. Now, credit them, they got a little bit better. The next possession, they snapped 2 straight over the quarterback's head. So it was a really rough start for them up there. But, gosh, I've never seen that before.
I think I texted you and was
delay
like,
of game, and it was like, this is not going to go well.
I mean, the fact that they kind of got it together, I guess you can say, and you do have to remember, yes, they finished with 24 points, but late in the game, they had some.
That was a rough start.
Credit
to them.
No, I'm saying like they could have really.
If you're a coach, if you're a UMass coach on the sideline, and you prep all week long, you go out there and you get a false start, delay of game. I'm sitting there thinking like, my whole life,
I failed.
I've worked my way up the chain. I've moved my family all over the country to land a D1 job.
Okay, be nice.
My kids have gone to 5 different grade schools, and then you're going to come out and false start and delay of game to open the game. Like, that just would, we've had those moments, right? You end a broadcast, and you're like, I need to quit. I need to find a real job.
I've never said that.
You should have. I need to find a real job. I need to do something else. We've all had those moments. I got to think that's probably one of those for some of those coaches that are just like, I don't know. I'm not getting through these guys.
A few Redshirt announcements before we look ahead to Gardner-Webb. CJ Daniels, which That made me a little sad.
Well,
I understand.
He still has 2 games to play.
Yes.
Right? So he will redshirt this year, they think. But
they just had the conversation.
Right.
He's not going to be 100% where they want.
And honestly, like, I was surprised how quickly he came back. And
he told me originally middle October.
Yeah, and I know that surgery and things that, the ACLs and all that, it's gotten so much better than 10 years ago or whatever. But, like, it seemed quick. We saw him back out on the field. I think that's probably best for him. You want him.
You want him
he's
as
a
long.
baller.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget what he was last season for this team. I think it was 7 touchdowns or 9. Like, he's a baller. You want him right. And if you can get healthy enough in the wide receiver room and get Caleb Snead back at some point, then you can kind of pick your spots late in the year with CJ and kind of let him go in some of those big games down the stretch if he's up to it.
That's very true. So 2 more games for him. Jalen Jimerson will be redshirted and Biggins. Do you remember there was, I think, one more? I'm really sorry.
I can't remember the last one.
There might have been. I'm sorry. Listen to the Hugh Freeze press conference because I was trying to rewind. You can't do that on Microsoft Teams. Looking ahead to Gardner-Webb, Coach Freeze says all the time, you have to earn wins in football. When I tell you that this opponent coming in is the real deal, how many times have we heard that from head coach Hugh Freeze?
My favorite thing about Coach press conference is hearing how they spin every opponent.
To be the best opponent.
Right.
Yeah.
But in reality, though, like Coach Freeze said, he thinks Gardner-Webb is better than UMass, and I believe that.
Okay.
I totally believe that. They pushed Coastal Carolina to the brink. I think it was a 31-27 final. Coastal won. And Gardner-Webb outgained them by like 150 yards. Had they not turned it over 5 times, like they led this game in the 4th quarter over Coastal, and that's a good team. They gave Marshall some problems. That was a close ball game. They're coming off a big win against a terrible Robert Morris team. I think it was 56-0. My computer died, or else I'd tell you more details. So they
preparation.
Yeah, right.
Joe Young gives us news that he's not coming on the podcast like this morning, and then everything else it's like what you just talked about. One thing goes wrong, and
that was the bad omen. Joe's text this morning.
We blame.
No, but Gardner-Webb is solid. They have a decent quarterback, really good receiver. They run the ball pretty well. But all that being said, Liberty's the better team. They're more talented, far deeper. Liberty needs to take care of business. You get to come home. Going to be a beautiful day. Homecoming, good crowd. Put them down, get bowl eligible, and then you have your celebration, which it is a big deal. And we don't want, and Coach Freeze said, he always says, and I like how he says this, like, I don't know about these other schools that they don't care about getting bowl eligible. I'm like, well, I think most do.
Yeah.
You have your Bamas and Georgias that they don't care. They want to, they're looking at the playoff. But like, most people are fired up about it. And especially when you're an independent. And so celebrate that. But then, boy, you better turn the page real quick because the back half of this schedule is like another animal. Like, so you better take what you've done, and to their credit, they did the work in the first half of the schedule. They're 1 point away from being unbeaten.
Yeah.
And we said before the season even began, if they can win the ones they're supposed to early, they set themselves up for a pretty good season. I don't even know if we thought they'd be sitting here.
The fact that 1 point, that's such a good point. 1 point, and this could be an unbeaten team.
Yeah.
That's crazy because every week, Matt, they just need to win this game.
Right.
They just need to win this game.
You know what? That's probably the attitude you need.
But Coach Emily over here.
Yeah,
Let me
just get them right.
Be 1-0 today.
Yeah, be 1-0. Win the day.
Right. So homecoming festivities. So it's a 3:30 kick, which I am a little excited about. I love night games. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that a fall beautiful day.
This is prime Emily wardrobe season.
Just wait. I don't need it to get like below 50.
What's your ideal temperature for the wardrobe that you have ready to go?
The dress. The jean dress that I need to wear on Saturday, I need it to be, you have to think, when you're on that turf, if it's 70 degrees, it feels like 85.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. If you can just stay in those mid-60s, and then the sun can just stay in the same spot.
Is this going to look like one of those Instagram posts of the lays out at the pumpkin patch with their pumpkin spice latte? Are you going full like plaid scarf, big hat,
I'm actually
full fall?
Going to be holding a pumpkin spice latte too.
That's great.
No, I'm not that extra. Homecoming festivities, are the kids coming and the wife?
Kids will be there for the game. Listen, you know what? We don't need festivities.
Oh
we need ball.
Gosh.
The kids are there about the game. They want to see the game. Actually, the biggest thing for my kids, honestly, is how many other Liberty athletes they spot while they're there. Like they came back from the opener, and my 5-year-old daughter, Caroline, is like, I saw 3 Hillier. I was like, you did? Like, you would recognize 3 Hillier from the baseball team? She's like, yeah, I saw him. And like, so it's seeing all these other Liberty athletes.
yeah.
They sat behind Coach Kerry Green and his family at the last game. And like, that was just like
there's a funny
deal.
story because the whole women's basketball staff was there, and I'm sitting there like waving to your family, and Coach Green's like this, and I'm like,
not you, Coach. Yeah.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah. That was a little stressful, I think, for my wife, having our 4 kids sitting right behind Coach Green and his family. She's like, don't spill anything on them, all that. But yeah, they love that.
It should be a lot of fun this weekend. But before we get to our Flames Fantasy League updates,
and that's a good update,
and some bold predictions, let's head to the pitch for our interview with Brady Herman. Lady Flames soccer star Bridie Herman joins us now in studio. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Bridie, so there's a little joke in the Flame Central, studio here, because you are constantly on all of our Lady Flame highlights, okay?
Every week.
And I am always with the rundown, it always ends up I'm calling the Lady Flame highlights. And I have to write it 7 different ways of how to pronounce.
Problems with names.
I have a lot. I have a big problem with names.
Among other problems, but yeah, that's one of them. And so I can't tell you. I mean, Birdie has come out of her mouth.
Birdie,
yes.
I mean, there
we
have
always
been
make
some
sure
very
we end up getting it right. I want you to know that.
Birdie is very common.
We have to re-record it 4 times because
That's so funny.
And you're on the highlights every single week, and I haven't been able to get it down. So tell us the story, the backstory of your name.
So my real name is actually Bridget, but my great grandma on my mom's side, she was Irish, and when you have the name Bridget, you go by Bridie-O. So my mom passed it down to Bridie without the O.
Yeah.
But
that's cool. See, I think they should add that in on soccer broadcasts. Like you score, it's like Bridie. Oh! Don't you think that would work?
I think I'm just going to use Bridget from now on with all my highlights.
Does anyone call you Bridget?
No, very rarely. Like some of my family members do. But my team nickname is actually Bird because they thought when I transferred here it was Birdie.
Yeah.
So they call me Bird.
I am not the only one with the problem.
That's a great
and there's Bridget Herman with the goal. Okay. The Lady Flames just finished the regular season unbeaten at home.
Yes.
You guys are on a 6-game winning streak. Talk to me about this team and what makes it so special.
It's so awesome. This year we've been really dealing with culture the past couple years, and so Lang's made that a really big emphasis for us this year. And I just feel like this year our team collectively we're all really there for each other, and we're all supporting each other, which is so awesome. You even see when subs come in, it's just a group of subs, and it's just so awesome. There's no drop off ever. I don't know. We're all just really supportive for each other, which is great.
It seems like you guys, even early in the year, you found kind of maybe a little more extra offense this season.
For sure.
Do you feel that? And how much
yes.
more fun is the game when you guys are able to score it the way you guys have?
It's great. I mean, we have a lot of forwards this year, but I can't say that there's a forward where there's a drop off. Anyone who can come into the game and they'll just match the energy of the game. So
yeah, you guys actually lead the ASUN in goals with 32 and allowed the fewest goals and 10. So the last few weeks, back-to-back ASUN Defensive Player of the Week. And I know this because I'm, I call the highlights.
You've been a big Brady Herman fan.
So you're getting it done on both ends of the ball, though, because in that a couple games ago, you scored a goal, and then you were you assisted on 3 other scores. So it's just, what's connected for you personally this season?
I would say this season I've really grown a lot in my confidence. Obviously, I think transferring it kind of puts a stagger in it, especially where I came from, it was more of a business deal. But just having Lang as my coach, he just shows so much love for you, and it really made my self-confidence just skyrocket. And I knew what I was good at on the field. I feel like my freshman year and my sophomore year, I just really wasn't able to excel in it, but just having the confidence that he gives me, I was okay, I can do this.
I feel like that's pretty common with a lot of transfers, no matter what sport you're playing in here at Liberty, of just the difference. And it's not just a business deal. Yes, I want to win on the field, but off the field, I really care about you as a player.
Yeah, and he really emphasizes that. He says, no matter your minutes or anything, you are loved, which is just so great to hear.
I wish I had that kind of support in my workplace.
Her boss is a jerk.
He's my boss.
Yeah, and you come, not to throw the balls under the bus, you were at Tennessee before you came here, but yet, is there another kind of sense of freedom? And do you feel like the connections that you're making, not just with the coaching staff, but with teammates, it's different here and allows you to enjoy the sport more? You tell me.
Totally. So I feel like my experience at Tennessee was just hard, especially when you're a defender. you have your starting 4, and you don't really sub defense ever. So I knew my freshman year that I wasn't ever going to play just because I was defender and I was underneath a senior. And then my sophomore year, I really battled for the position, and I knew it wasn't going to turn out the way I wanted it. And so my coaches, as I've said, like they deal with it like as a business deal. So if you don't play, they don't really care, you know? And so then you're just like put on the back end. So I don't know, my experience there, it was hard, but I think it just makes me more grateful for like what I have here, if that makes sense.
All right, so you guys are a couple weeks away from starting the ASUN tournament, correct? You guys are tied with Lipscomb for the top spot, but possibly might have the edge because of the goal differential.
Yes.
What is it going to take for this team to be successful and carry this momentum into the postseason?
Right. This is something Lang has actually really emphasized, is not to really get ahead of ourselves and just take it like one day at a time. And he says, like during practice, like we want to win this practice, or like when we were playing Queens, like we want to be 1-0 today. So I feel like that's going to be a really big emphasis for us, is like not to get ahead and be like, oh, we're going to host quarterfinals and semifinals. Who knows what's going to happen during finals? No, we need to like pay attention to this game against Stetson, this game against Florida, whatever it is. You know, we need to take care of business for the day.
Yeah.
Which is
now,
good.
the best news we found out in talking to you before this is you're listed as a senior, but you got that extra year. It sounds like you're gonna make use of it, and so Flames Nation knows you're coming. Can we break? Are we breaking news here? She's coming back. She's coming back.
Breaking news on the Flame Central podcast. If any other athletes want to, announce their, it's not a retirement. It's what the opposite of whatever that you're staying.
Extension.
Continuation. You're coming back.
I am. I'll be here.
That's so exciting.
Well, we're excited. You guys have been fun to watch.
Thank you.
I feel like it carried up for, like last season. The way you guys ended last season has just, continued throughout this season. I don't know.
For sure. I think last season really gave us confidence too. We brought a lot of players back, and we knew this was going to be our season. So
get us like behind the scenes info. Like tell us something funny about this team, or like a story on the road. Do you guys have some sort of I don't know.
Like team traditions or games or anything you guys do?
I will say one of our funniest teammates is Annie Slowback. She's a midfield player. Before every single game, we'll be playing music, and she gets down and she just gets in her zone. And like, you cannot stop her dancing. And everyone is just sitting there in shock at this girl's moves. Yeah. She's funny. She's funny. And she has all these goal celebrations that she wants to do the frog, a ribbit after she scores. So
well, let's all hope that happens.
Yes, she's a character.
Yeah, Matt does his dance parties before the show. So maybe we'll have to have like a dance off.
Do you have a goal celebration? Do you have anything?
No,
I don't feel like I've seen anything.
No, I have like professional players that I really like, but I feel like I can never do it.
I have it. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
The bird?
The bird.
Yeah. Just swoop across the field.
Yeah. All right. I think, and then all
take it or leave it, but that's just our, just throw a little.
The players get all behind you like a V.
Flying V.
Like a flying V.
Oh, perfect.
This is going to be epic.
Does Lang get behind the celebrations?
I don't know.
Here's the version we see of Coach Lang Wiedemeyer. Very low key.
Yes.
Very controlled.
Yes.
Very so I don't sense the big celebration kind of thing.
No, I can't say that would be really his persona.
I don't care. Blame it on me. If you don't do this in the postseason when you score, you're never allowed back in the Flames.
That's funny.
Bridie, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck to you guys. Really looking forward to watching you guys continue to have that success.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I kind of want 1 year of eligibility left. And I say this with every team, okay? Yeah. Because I just want to be a part of all these teams. Yeah. Because I want to feel loved. Yeah. But this team seems super special. Brady Herman's awesome. Yeah. Like, she can come back anytime.
Yeah, great kid. It was really fun talking to her off camera as well. Just a super great personality. And yeah, I mean, we tell some of these athletes sometimes, like, you get into the grind of it.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, oh boy, I can't wait till I graduate. Can't wait till we tell them as much as we can, like, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Enjoy, not just, like, I don't remember the games. I remember the stupid stuff at practice and on the road and all that stuff. Like, enjoy everything about it, because when it's gone, you're going to be like, you know what? Being an adult isn't as fun as I thought it would be.
My job is horrible, and how the people I work with.
I think you've covered that. But
it's awesome. But yeah, those break dancing moments, like before the game, like those are just, you're right. Those are the moments
you don't get that
last
in the
forever.
office.
No,
like going into the office.
So boring.
So enjoy the time that you have.
Yes, big thanks to. And I'm telling you, if she does not do that game that is a really cool game celebration.
She was telling us after we talked to her, like she would really legitimately do the bird swoop
I'll
thing.
do the bird call.
That sounds like you practiced
Bold predictions. We lost the paper. Go figure. Joe Yock actually has it.
Do the...
That will be the end cap because I like,
I know.
Bold predictions. I just remember mine was 3 touchdowns by DeMario, and one of those was a special team score. Yeah, he had a great game, so I'd basically
I had Jonathan Bent with, I think, 250 through the air and 3 scores. He didn't get there. He had a couple of touchdowns. I think it was like 185 or something.
Yeah, no one cares about J-Ox. So finally, we finished with the Flames fantasy update.
All right, Em. I got to tell you, it was a rough week for you. You had a huge lead. You'll remember this. You only got 16.3 points. You'd been carried by Day Hunter. He had a solid game. A late fumble hurt his score. So that hurt you there. Joe had a monster week. He scored 48.1 points.
Wow.
DeMario Douglas coming through for him. That helped. Getting TJ Green healthy, that helped. So he gained some ground. And I had 30 points. Good game from Shedros. 3 touchdowns. Didn't have a lot of yardage, but the touchdowns helped. So you're still leading, but the gap is closing. You have 222.6. I have 192.3, so you still have a solid, 30-point lead. Joe's still back there at 178.3, so he's still got a long way to go.
Hopefully he stays back there.
But we'll close that gap a little bit. It's a long way to go. We're just it's not about one game. You just slowly get yourself in position to steal it at the end, which I think I did in the bowl game 2 years ago, as we recall. So
we don't need to look back.
Bold prediction, do you have one for this week?
Bold prediction. Wait, you go first, because I need to think of one. I forgot to do that.
Okay, I'm going to say, here we go. I'm going to go with 2 guys. I'm going to go like a little multi-touchdown parlay action here. Here's what I'm going with.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to say that we get our first, would it be our first tight end touchdown this year? You have the stats in front of you. Do we have a tight end with a touchdown reception on the season? I don't know. Has Jerome gotten one?
No, because what's his name just dropped it at the goal line.
Oh, they tried to get one to Bollinger.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say
I don't think
we get a tight end touchdown. And we get TJ Green's first touchdown both in this game for the Flames.
Okay, I am going to do Darrell Johnson gets 3 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. 2 tackles for loss.
2 additional tackles.
Yeah.
All right. You know, that would be, I mean, can I say one more thing too? I know I've talked about him some before.
Joe Yock?
No, we're not even talking about Joe Yock. Which, by the way, I think we're probably contractually obligated to say.
If you want to get in touch with Joe Yock.
If you want to get in touch with Joe Yock and Alcova Mortgage.
I'm going to give you a cell.
Google, give a cell out. He always says just Google Joe Yock, Jauch, and you'll find him. Or go to alcovamortgage.com, I assume is their website.
434.
Yeah, check them out for all of your home loan needs.
The other guy you
Dennis Asagade has been a monster in the middle. He's tied for team lead in sacks, I believe. I think again, computer's dead, but he's been really good. He was good again against UMass, and he is a guy that we talk about guys on the outside, which we should mention as well. Trayshawn Clark out for a while, meniscus injury, 2 to 4 weeks. That will be a big loss, but who started in his place?
The Rev,
Christian Zachary, who got in on a sack. And what was it I texted you when he got in on that?
Only 24 to go.
Only 24 to go. Turns out it's 24 and a half. It was only a half sack they credited him with. But the Rev, Christian Zachary, he's got his chance to shine now.
He
does.
Really,
really excited to see what he can do this week.
All right, really excited. Homecoming, don't forget, we'll see you there. It's a 3:30 kick against Gardner-Webb. For Matt, I'm Emily. We'll see you right back here next week.